All right, so today, whoops, almost dropped it. Today I'm going to talk about the book Glory Road, written by Don Haskins with Dan Wetzel. This book is about the 1966 Texas Western Miners, the NCAA basketball champions of that year, and how that team shattered a lot of color lines in the college basketball landscape. I'm going to give a little bit of background on Don Haskins. Don Haskins was born in Enid, Oklahoma. That is Enid. I looked up their statistics. As of right now, they have about 50,000 residents. So I imagine it was very small when he was born in a long time ago. Don Haskins he played college basketball at Oklahoma A&M from 1949 to 1952 under the coach Henry Iba, or Iba. It's IBA, and I've never heard anybody say his name out loud. So, and Henry Iba was let's just say a complicated coach. He would have his players work out 9 hours a day, no water, and if you even missed one single shot, it was running the bleachers. He was cussing you out, throwing you off the team. Basically, the classic story of a coach that if he did that stuff today, he would never survive. This whole book is the story of kind of old-fashioned ways of doing something and their impact on players and coaches alike. So Don Haskins, after playing college football, he gets a job at Washington High School in Texas. And he has success at all of his high school coaching stops. Washington High winners, Headley High winners, all the way up to Dumas High School in Texas. He had crazy success at all of them. And then he ends up in 1961. He gets a job at Texas Western College in El Paso, Texas. They're now known as the UTEP Miners. And this book, like I said earlier, it's about the breaking of a lot of color lines of the time, because back in this time, it was pretty unheard of to really field a lot of black players on your starting lineups or on your teams in general. A lot of teams out in the Big East, which was like the powerhouse area at this time, didn't recruit black players, didn't start them, nothing but white people on the court, which was normal for the time. You got to consider the time this happened in. When Don Haskins got to Texas Western, there were some black players on the roster, most notably Nolan Richardson, who brought the 1994 Arkansas Razorbacks basketball team and national championship. That's arguably one of the most notable players Don Haskins coached. A lot of them were relatively successful. One of them became a dentist. A couple went into real estate. Some did color commentary later on for UTEP. He was very influential at the time. Upon his arrival to UTEP, he had a lot of success really early, which was like his thing. Like, no matter where he went, it was instant success. But this story's climax comes in 1966, in which Don Haskins is the first player to start an all-black starting five, and he happens to do it in the championship game against Kentucky, an all-white starting five. The other coach at the time, Adolph Rupp, was... At the time, obviously, no one thought anything of this, but he was against starting any black people. He was afraid to get beat by a black team, and he says a couple things I can't repeat that Don quotes in this biography. And this is just Don's story of what he did and how his players influenced him and how he influenced his players and the fallout from after winning the championship. One of the most interesting parts of the book was the fallout. So the chapter right after everything happens, all the good stuff happens, is the fallout. So after they win the championship in 1966, the Texas Western Miners, it took 4 or 5 years before teams everywhere started to recruit, play more black players and things of that nature. But what happened at UTEP, because they weren't a national powerhouse, it was just they were still kind of like a, what do you call it? Like just a no name, even after their success. Because back in the day, this is the 60s, 70s. People, because of the nature of Don's accomplishment, they were downplaying it at the time. Sports Illustrated actually wrote an article and published an article back in the day. I believe it was in the early 70s. I think it may have been 71. I might be wrong on that. But Sports Illustrated published an article saying that he only won because he was exploiting his black players instead of the truth, which was he was recruiting them, teaching them, and breaking them down and molding them. And that's like another climax of the book, is you get the highs, and then immediately after the high there's a low, and just the article that gets written spins that narrative, and then Don and his players for years after that are having to hide from death threats. At one point, one of his players is afraid he's going to get shot on the court. Don's afraid he's going to get shot, and he's afraid of what's going to happen. And at one point, he even tells his players, like, hey, like, I don't really know what to do. Like, if I keep starting all 5 of you guys, like, am I putting you in danger? Do I need to start a white guy just in case? And his team actually appreciates the honesty. Like, most coaches at the time just didn't acknowledge the elephant in the room. But Don actually gets a lot of credit for just being like, hey, this is the situation. I don't actually know what to do. Like, help me out. But no, it's a biography. You kind of know what to get. You get his upbringing. One thing, Don as a person downplays a lot of his success. UTEP's basketball arena, which is called the Don Haskins Center, he, I guess, up until his death, refused to call it that. He called it by its original name, the Special Events Center. And the Dan Wetzel, the guy that kind of helped sort Don's thoughts out to get this book, recounts in the book many times about how Don would act like he couldn't remember anything, but they damn well knew he remembered stuff. That was the nature of Don. He just wasn't going to acknowledge his success. And in the book, there's a quote where he straight up says, like, I'm not some genius that broke the color boundaries. Like, that's not me. I just was doing my duty as a coach. And I played the best players I had. Like, I didn't see it as white or black. I just was like, these are my players. It is my duty. I'm getting paid to win as many games as I can and put more points on the board than the opponent. So it's a really interesting book. I don't remember if I said this at the beginning, but this got turned into a movie. I believe the movie and the book came out around the same time. The movie's one of my favorite sports movies. It's the same name, Glory Road. It's kind of a cozy movie to watch, in my opinion. Like, it's definitely heavy in some areas. Obviously, there's racial themes, but I've watched it 3 or 4 times over the years. It came out in 2006. Both the book and the movie. So it's been a while. I've watched it 3 or 4 times, but it's something about sports movies in general for me. They're just really cozy, because a lot of them they're not going to hit you over the head with trying to be obscure or anything. It's just storytelling at its most stripped back form, which I enjoy. Same thing with the book. The book itself, the writing, I mean, it's a biography. It's pretty straightforward. It's, I thought this is what happened. Oh, I got mad at this is what happened. Don is somewhat of a stubborn man. He put his players through hell too, just like Henry, his coach, when Don was in college. Don does the same thing to his players as Henry. He doesn't allow them to drink water. He doesn't allow them to publicly date. Basically, he's like, I don't want you guys having girlfriends. It takes away from your ball game. Had them practice till 3 a.m, had them practicing for 9 hours a day, stuff that you just can't do anymore. And he kind of knew. He even says, he's like, at the time this may have actually been illegal, but he just didn't care, and you could get away with it. I mean, it's 1960s. It's just, I think people were just kind of looser in general about certain things. Not everything was codified and written down, I'm sure, but yeah, no, it's an interesting little story. I'm going to try to remember if there's anything I'm missing. But if you want to check out the book or see the movie, honestly, you can probably pick one. The movie is a really fun watch. Obviously, you're not getting words from Don Haskins himself. But I think whether you watch the movie or read the book, it'll suffice. It'll give you the gist. And then if you like one or the other, do the other one. If you read the book, watch the movie. If you watch the movie, read the book. Things of that nature. But yeah, I recommend it. I'll try to do more Let's Talks. I don't want to call them book reviews, even though I guess that's what it is. I just say Let's Talk, like I said. But yeah, thumbs up. I read this book in 24 hours. Which is kind of unheard of for me. I'm kind of a slow reader. Like at some points, I read like 20 pages a day. Like I don't read that fast. Normally, I don't like reading fast because I feel like in the moment you're feeling it, but then you forget it when you put it away, which I don't like. I try to be well read, I guess. But yeah, I recommend the book. I recommend the movie. Check it out.